Good afternoon everyone. My name is Lea Shiena B and CTM41 from Access Computer College, LAGRO campus. How to disassemble and assemble a computer. In this instructable, I will give you a full documentation of how to assemble and disassemble a computer. Every computer is different, but this is a general guide. If you don't fully grasp what I mean when I'm describing something, please refer to the pictures. Make sure that all of the pieces are in the right position and that all of the screws are properly tightened. 5-step instructions on how to disassemble a computer. To begin, you will learn the disassembly process in the first section. In the second section, you will learn the assembly process. Disassembly of computer. Tools you need in assembly and disassembly of computer. Flathead screwdriver. Used to tighten or loosen slotted screws. Phillips head screwdriver. Used to tighten or loosen cross-headed screws. Anti-static equipment touching a grounded case or another grounded metal object occasionally will eliminate most risk of electrostatic discharge, but better safe than sorry. Needle nose plier used to hold small parts. Flashlight used to light up areas that you cannot see well. Let's start. Step 1. Unplugging. The first thing you do is unplug every cable that is plugged into your computer. Unplug the AC power supply to the PC from the wall. Step 2. Remove the outer shell or casing. First off, unscrew the 4 screws on the back of the computer. On most computer cases, there will be large knobs that you can unscrew by hand or by screwdriver on the back right side of the computer. The left side has small screws because on that side you can access much on the inside. Once the screws are removed, you can remove the side panels. On most computers, they just slide off. Start with the left side panel, the side that once had the knobs. Slide it towards the back of the computer. Now you can remove the left panel, just like the other one. Slide it towards the back of the computer. Step 3. Remove the system fan. Most computers have 2 fans. The system fan, the blowing air into the computer, and the CPU fan, the blowing air onto the CPU heatsink. I will start by removing the system fan first. It is located at the back side of the computer, the side with all the components plugged in. Remove the CPU fan. Now that the system fan is out, we can remove the CPU fan. The CPU fan is located right on the top of the CPU heatsink, which is a large piece of metal fan with metal fins on the top. The CPU fan plugs into the motherboard in an awkward place. This is hard to access, but just follow the wires and you should easily find it. It is labeled CPU fan 1. To remove the fan from the heatsink, remove the 4 screws securing it in the place. Step 5. Remove the power supply. The power supply manages on the power of the machine. The power supply is a large metal box located at the upper back part of the computer. They sometimes come with an on-off switch that is accessible from the back of the computer. The main power cord also plugs into the back of the power supply. The power supply supplies power to every component in a computer, therefore, it has the most wires out of every other component in the computer. Step 6. Remove the CD-DVD drive. The CD-DVD drive is one of the most easiest components to remove. First, unplug the ribbon from the back of the drive Once that is completed, pull on the tab, securing the drive in place. Then push it out from the inside. It's time to take the rest of the computer systems apart. Step 7. Remove the RAM. To remove the RAM, push down on both tabs, holding the RAM in place, which are located at the both ends of the RAM. Please see the pictures. A RAM is a memory or information storage in a computer that is used to store running programs and data for the programs. So, the more RAM you have, the faster your computer runs. Most computers have 4 or 2 RAM slots. Step 8. Remove CPU. Remove the CPU by working the lever handle with care. Step 9. Remove the sinker. A heatsink is a piece of metal that sits on the top of computer chip such as CPU and draws power away from components by letting it rise through a set of pins. By themselves, heatsinks are passive. Step 10. Remove the motherboard. The motherboard is the mother of the computer. The motherboard links every component in the computer together. The CPU, RAM, and expansion cards are attached directly to it, and every other part of the computer is in one way or another attached to it. The motherboard has 7 screws holding it to the frame, which are indicated by large white circles around them. Remove those 7, then lift the motherboard out of the frame. Step 11. Done. That's the end of disassembly. Computer assembly is step-by-step process. Let's start. Step 1. Open the case. Prepare the workplace before opening the computer case. Step 2. Install the power supply. Insert the power supply into the case. Align the holes in the power supply with the holes in the case. Secure the power supply to the case using the proper screws. Attach components to the motherboard. CPU on motherboard. Heatsink for fan assembly. Install RAM. For the motherboard. Especially when installing the motherboard, you must take care. After installing the previous components, the motherboard is now ready to install in computer case. Install the HDD or hard disk drive. Place the HDD properly inside the bay and tighten the screw. Drives that are installed in internal bays are called internal drives. A hard disk drive is an example of an internal drive. Step 6. Install the expansion cards. Expansion cards have to improve your computer's functionality. Expansion cards can be mounted on the motherboard. Step 7. Install case fan. The case fan is usually installed on the back panel of the case. If the fan mount is not obvious, consult the case documentation. Step 8. Connect cables. With all of the components installed in the case, the jungle of wires can be daunting. It is important to consult the motherboard manual in order to make sure proper connections are made. There are 2 kinds of connections, power and data. Every device that has been installed needs power. Step 9. Done. That's all. Thank you.